Hi guys! Welcome back to another video, or if this is your first time seeing me, hi, my name is Rebecca. I make between life vlogs, medical advocacy videos, awareness videos. Sometimes you'll just see random clips of my dogs, which I actually have someone to introduce to, but not right now. Because today's video is actually about things I wish I would have known / things they don't tell you when you get a Portacath central line. So one of these things is just gonna be more for girls. Everything else I think is fairly universal. But I'll let you know when we get to that point. If you see me looking to the left, it's because I have a little sticky note on that side of my screen with my bullet points. Otherwise, I will go off and I will have a Dory brain. So, without further ado, here's some things I wish I knew before I got my first port back when I was 9. And I just recently switched to a Hickman in January of this year. So I had one for 11 years. So here's one thing. So my first and second ports that I got were outpatient. So I got sent home the same day. The next one, I got sent home next day. The one after that, I was in a hospital. And pretty much everyone since then has been in hospital. But that is because I was having infections, not from the central line themselves. The first infection I ever got was a bacteria from a stomach bug jumped from my gut to my blood. Nothing I could really do about that at the time. And one thing my home health care nurse will teach you, most infections do not happen at home. They happen in a hospital setting. I don't say that to scare you. I am going to add the prefix warning now. I am not a medical professional. If I could speak today, that would be lovely. I'm just someone who has experienced a lot of this and hope to help other people who are also going through this. Most infections happen in a hospital setting or hospital-induced setting. That is how I've gotten mine. I don't mean that to scare you. This is just some of the straight-up facts that I know from experience. So like I said, my first few were outpatient. I went home the same day. The other few were inpatient because I had to make sure I was on IV antibiotics, and typically it was like I had to wait 3 days and then we could place another port once my cultures came back clean. So yeah, sometimes inpatient, sometimes outpatient. If you deal with really bad pain or something that can make pain worse, for instance, I have neuropathy, so surgical pain might be a bit worse for me post-op, talk to your provider about any pain management you might need. That is up to you and your provider. I'm not telling you to ask for anything. I am just saying advocate for yourself if you know you don't do well after surgery with pain management. And don't wait until you get to a level 10 before you ask for pain management. That goes for everything, not just getting a port, because with a port you really shouldn't feel at a level 10. But if someone has, don't wait to take pain meds. This next part is the one, Jackson, hi, come here. This is my newest pup. This is Jackson. Nikolai might bark in a minute because I stole his dog. But he's a miniature Schnauzer Pomeranian mix. Oh, you're slobbery. He's a sweetheart, but him and Nikolai are playing in my room. So If you hear a lot of background noise, I'm sorry, but that's those two. um, what point was I on? This next part primarily only deals with women. Button-up bras and shirts are about to be your new best friend. For me, it typically ended up using them about like a week, 2 weeks out until I wasn't like sore anymore. Do not wear a sports bra to the procedure. Do not. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Don't do it. You want either, whether it be a clasp or a button or a zipper, some way that it is an open closing, and same way for shirts. So I actually find like I've had ports placed pretty much all times of year. So pretty much like long sleeve plaid button ups, or I have like short sleeves women's just cute casual button ups. You can find them pretty cheap. Amazon. I think I got a few off of Shein. But just any kind of top that opens up via button or zipper or something easily openable to you. Just not a sports bra. You can wear a sports bra if you want, if it's a sports one, or if it's one with a zipper, then yes, absolutely. You can try it. It might be a little bit more uncomfortable than some, but it won't be as hard, because the one thing, which actually ties straight into my next point, is your range of motion most likely will go down depending on where they place the line. So my first ever line, this was the drop line incision, and that incision was the first one. That incision is only so thick because it has held 3 ports before and has been cut open many times. So yeah, it doesn't actually, one surgery doesn't make a scar like that thick. At least with this, it's pretty minimal scar for this. It depends on where your access is. So your range of motion most likely will go down. What I find that happens is my body wants to defend my arm. So a lot of times I will baby my arm. And that's okay to do for the first 24 to 48 hours when the pain is bad. You do need to try to keep your range of motion up, working towards that as soon as you feel comfortable doing so. I know it can be uncomfortable, it can be painful, but even small things like if you're into painting, personally, I need to paint by numbers and able to paint. But painting, sketching, crossword puzzles. I remember the first port I had placed. It was, you're gonna know what I'm talking about, but that tiles game where it was the music and you had to tap the tiles. I think it was like the first port I ever got. I'd actually played that, and because this arm was what was affected, I held the iPad out, or it wasn't an iPad. I had held the tablet out at a certain way, and I used that to try to just gently move my arm. Now, if you're in excruciating pain, don't do that. But try to keep it like gently moving. Gentle hobbies like reading, gaming, journaling, stuff like that are your best friends. Whether you do 3D printing, 4D printing. I made a 4D Hedwig from Harry Potter, if you know who that is. If not, I'll pop a picture of it up on the screen in a moment. But just small, pretty much like any crafty or gamey hobbies that you might have is probably your best bet for the first 24 to 48, sometimes 72 hours. Personally, for me, the pain typically takes about a week to wear off. The first 5 days are the absolute worst, and then it subsides. Like I said, I say none of this to scare any of you. I just want to be open, honest, and real about my experience and all of this. Now, on your way, oh, before I'm getting ahead of myself. You most likely will not know the placement of your Portacath until pre-op appointment and or like right as you're going back to surgery. Or if you're under just sedation for the surgery, you might know because you'll hear them talking. I knew where my first port was going to be. I did not know where this is my Hickman. Well, that's my Hickman. This was a port. Um, those are actually two incisions. I know it kind of looks like one, but it's two different ones. That's my Hickman. It depends on what they call your access, and you only have so many veins that they can use for a central line. Only so many veins can handle a central line. So, for example, the first one that I have over here has far too much scar tissue to hold another port. So I knew going in with this last time, it wasn't going to be there. A lot of times, until a doctor sees you and sees what your veins look like, then they'll know the placement. Now, there's three main areas of the body a portacath could be placed. I've only ever had chest done, but they can also place them in the arm or in the groin. It just depends on your access ability. For some people, they have great access. For other people, not so much. For me, myself, jugular was pretty much like the only kind of option I had with how much access I've blown in the past. So you might not know where the placement is. You might have to ask your surgeon before going into the OR. But yeah, you most likely won't know that. If you have spastic muscles and or muscle issues, personally I have spastic muscles and muscle issues, ask them to suture the port down. The reason I say this is most hospitals do what they call free-floating ports. So the port will just float in the pocket. If you have spastic muscles, in the long run, this could cause an issue with it trying to shift the port around. The port should never leave the pocket, but it can cause painful issues of tilting the port and making it very hard to access the port. So if you deal with muscle issues and spasms, please ask your surgeon to suture it down. Some hospitals do not believe in suturing them down. Others do believe in suturing down. A lot of doctors that I've met, they will suture it down if you ask them to. So that's just something. Talk to your doctor about it, and try to figure out what the best plan of course is for you. Seat belts. This is one thing people do not think of. Is on your way home, that seatbelt is going to hurt. Doesn't really matter where it's placed. Just the friction of it's gonna hurt. So I recommend like if you have a seatbelt cover or even like getting a small blanket or a really small pillow to just give a little bit of cushion to spare the incision area, that friction can do a lot to help. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot you can do. Typically, I tried to always, before we had to drive, try to take pain meds before then, so it was a little easier. If you can, and I know some people cannot, try to pick a route that doesn't have a whole lot of speed bumps or potholes. I know that's just not realistic for most people, and I completely understand that. But those will can hurt, just like the rocking of the car can hurt. So definitely, if you can, if not, that's okay too. Just like I said, remember, like you can get, or even a stuffed animal would work. Just small cushion to give you a little bit of grace. from the seatbelt. What is next? I think I only have 2 things left. Wow. Oh yes. So the first deaccess and accessed is the worst. It is the worst. It will hurt. It will be uncomfortable because your incision's still uncomfortable. It's not going to be very pleasant, but I can tell you it is going to get better. It will get better. The first one is just the hardest. So if you can do lidocaine cream, or like I know they have numbing sprays, if you even have like a cold spray that, you know, can be sterile. What else? If your skin gets very easily irritated and or burns with like Chloroprep or something, I highly recommend taking Benadryl beforehand if you can. That way your skin does not hurt as bad after getting accessed. I used to have to use that trick a lot. Now, one thing I did learn, because there for the longest time, for a few years, I could use lidocaine cream. But then my muscles started reacting to them, so I couldn't use any. One thing I learned to do, and it was actually my acupuncturist taught me this, was, and this applies to any needles, like if you're getting a peripheral, if you're getting a port, anything involving a needle. Inhale, and as the needle is going in, whether it be in your vein, in your port, no matter acupuncture, no matter what happens, exhale while the needle is going in. You will still feel it, but it's a mental distraction where your brain does not focus on that needle. Helps just a little bit. That is what got me through a lot of deaccessing and accessing before we made the final change to a Hickman. This is not an advertisement for a Hickman though, because I did really love my ports. They served me very well, and I loved them very much. Also, like, even like just talking to someone, anything that could distract you, listening to an audiobook or putting on a movie, something like that. When I was younger, we'd like put a movie I'd like on TV to help distract me while we did it or something. So yeah, anything that can kind of distract you from that will be beneficial. What else do I have on here? I think I only have one more. And that is things they don't think about that you cannot do that could hurt and or endanger your port. I'm going to list them off and then I will go into each one. No belly flops. No dodgeball. No airsoft or paintball without proper gear. Now, that does not mean you cannot do any of those activities. This is just why you have to be careful. So starting off with belly flops, I have had this happen where I had to go have a port replaced because I did a belly flop. It popped the stitches that held my port down. And then my port started shifting, my muscles weren't happy, and it started causing issues, so I had to go get the port removed. In general, anything super hard impact against your chest, do not do. It's not worth the risk and your port. It's not worth it. Dodgeball, you could maybe get away with. I can't say you absolutely cannot do this because that would be hypocritical of me. I have done dodgeball with a port. Be very, very careful. Make sure your team and or other opposing team players know no chest shots, or just get really good at guarding wherever your port is. So like my Hickman's right here, guard. Or, you know, just turn around, you know, take the hit anywhere but to your chest. Coincidentally, the only person who's actually nailed me in the chest with a dodgeball was actually my older brother. No relevance, just fun little throw in. But yes, please be very, very, very careful if you do try to do that, because it is very dangerous. If you want to do airsoft or paintball, you most likely cannot use provided gear provided by other people. So I used to play a lot of, I've never played paintball, but I have played airsoft with our youth group. And unfortunately, I could not use the gear provided because it did not have enough protection for my port. Like, my port was always exposed in some way in the vest. So I actually had to go to a tactical shop near me and find and get a vest that I knew could survive the bullets without getting my port hurt or anything like that. So you can do it. You just have to be very, very, very careful. Very careful. Like I said, I've never played paintball, but both with airsoft and paintball, if you think it might be a chest shot, try to make it a back shot. You do what you can. Personally, I'm not digging it out of my closet right now, but I am looking at it. My green vest that I have for airsoft has extra padding where it guards my port, or now my Hickman, but at the time a port. Also, you get a lot more better pockets when you get to buy your own vest. The only downside to that is if you do like teams, your color might get, if you're on the black team but your vest is green, you might get shot by friendly fire. You might not. I've been the one to be providing the friendly fire when teams switch, and yeah, you can imagine how that went. So it's not that I'm saying you can't do these things. I'm just saying you have to be very, very careful. Also, things like soccer, softball, I guess, mainly. Personally, I've done all of these things. None of this should deter you from living your life. Because I can tell you, I have had a central line since I was 9. I've had a feeding tube since I was 5. These things won't, in of themselves, make you have a poor quality of life where you can't do things and it, prevents you from doing things. It's because of my GJ feeding tube and my Hickman that I can do things in life. Without my Hickman, I wouldn't be able to have TPN, which is my primary nutrition nowadays. So, medical devices aren't going to hinder your life. They're going to help you live your life. I know it's hard sometimes. People are insensitive about them and make comments. Sometimes it feels so foreign in your body and you just want to get it off or get it out. That's normal. It is normal. This overstimulation of it can be really, really normal. The best thing you can do then is self-care. And reminding yourself that, this thing is helping me. It's not trying to hurt me. It's helping me. So really, that's the biggest thing. Even with my feeding tube, honestly, after so long with my feeding tube, I don't even like think of it there. Like, you get so used to it, you kind of forget it's there. Same thing happens with a port after a while. Yeah, it's not meant to prohibit your life. It's supposed to help your quality of life. So I think that's everything for now. If I think of anything else, I will make a part 2 and post this as well. I've been meaning to make this, but I also have a friend that's about to go inpatient to have a port placed. I'm not going to share her circumstances, however, but she's going to be one of the people that is inpatient for her experience. But I figured I would make this video for her, and I figured I would also share it with you lovely people if you have made it through the video this far. If you've gotten to this far, let's drop a green heart in the comments. And also, if you have any questions, concerns, honestly, there's really no such thing as a dumb or stupid question. Unless, it's willfully spiteful, but if you have any questions, feel free to drop them below. If this video helped you in any way, give it a like, maybe think of subscribing. If you do subscribe, turn on your notification bell because my posting is quite irregular. I'm getting back into it. Just kind of had to have a huge hiatus. I'm starting to get things back together though, but I really wanted to make this. I'm also going to make a feeding tube version of this, and I'm probably going to make a kids version of the feeding tube and this version to kind of explain it on a different level. If you think I should do that for an adult version too, where I grab my medical buddies, like my stuffed animals with the little medical devices, and show you guys too, let me know, and I will 100% do that. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Have a blessed day. Hey, so this is editing me coming back in to add an additional point that no one prepares you for the amount of training you are going to receive if you have no prior knowledge of a central line. It will seem like a lot, it will seem overbearing, there's a lot of supplies where you have no idea what they even do. You should have a at-home health nurse that is able to show you all those things and get you familiar with your supplies for like the first, I think my home health was for a while. I've always had to have labs with mine, but just be prepared the amount of education you have to take regarding lines. Nikolai wants to play fetch. But yes, there is a lot of education, and there's a lot of contradicting information. Some people believe in one type of line of care, some believe in a completely different line of care. It's different everywhere. So just be prepared for that. There's a lot to learn, and if you have a hard time remembering all of it, that's okay. It's overwhelming. Take notes, make spreadsheets for the process of what you have to do, step by step on what you have to do with accessing or de-accessing or setting TPN or saline or whatever you have your Portacath for. So yeah, just be prepared for the amount of education that also happens with getting a central line. So I know I already did the outro, but I figured, why am I going to keep the stuffed animal from the adults too? So, meet Sarah, I believe I named her. But she is one of my many bunnies with medical devices, homemade. So she has a GJ, which I used an ace bandage to wrap on.
Editing me is popping in to correct that this is not Sarah, this is Coco.
She has a port. So yeah, this really does help, even like if you're an adult, help you cope and make things seem a little less scary. But yeah, this is Sarah. The whole tube is also a little extension. She has a little pressure cap on the end of her Huber needle. And yeah, this is We always called them to-be buddies, but considering I do them with lines sometimes, I just call them medical buddies. But yes, so this is Sarah, and it's gonna be alright. Alright, see you guys next time.